about it. But I wanted to speak to the single moms, not just the single moms, moms in general. But I know for me, as someone, I just recently got married, so I do have help now. But for a long time, you know, I was a single mom with no help. For a while, I was a single mom with no help from my child's father. And when you are put in that position of having to take on so much, certain things that are blessings you start to see as a burden. And that started to happen, and I didn't realize that I was looking at my son as a burden. And it didn't happen right away. This happened over time, and it took my husband calling me out to realize that I started to carry that on me. One night my son was, I was just tired, and he woke up and he kept waking up and kept coming into the room with us, and I just started getting irritated. I felt the shift in me, and my husband just started, excuse my son, but my husband just started praying, and he said he felt a presence in the room. And he started telling me that he felt the need to pray for priests. And at this time, I was just quiet. And he just started praying, speaking in tongues, and just, praying against whatever the spirit was. And I told him, I think that it's on me. And I just told him, like, how I've been feeling. And he called his pastor. We went to Bible study that next day, and I got prayed over. And since then, I have not been feeling those feelings. And it also takes me surrendering when those thoughts come to my mind. Right when they come, I just say, I'm not coming into any agreement with the assignments over my son. The enemy will not use me to get to my son. And I just have to constantly do it, because it's easy to start viewing him as a burden. My son has autism. And again, I was doing it by myself for a long time, so I didn't have any time for myself. I often had to put my needs to the side. And I'm a mom, so you're supposed to do those things. But when you do it by yourself, it's like it feels like you're sacrificing your whole entire life, and you can't do anything for yourself. And so after a while of doing that, years of doing that, I just became frustrated, and I started to view him as a burden. And I feel like it's very important for us to be mindful that our children are blessings. And even though, sometimes you're going to get frustrated, and it's going to seem like some days are harder than others. If you have to walk away, walk away. Because the things that I used to start thinking, I used to be thinking about, like, I'm just going to find your dad and go live my life. I used to start thinking things like that. And although I know I love my son very much, being vulnerable to anger and emotions like that leave you very open to anything that the enemy would desire. So while I would never just abandon my son, the enemy wants me to. While I love my son and feel so blessed by him, he's changed my life, the enemy wants me to see him as a burden. The enemy would love for me to speak curses over him when I'm angry, to think it in my heart, and whatever's in your heart will flow out. And so, of course, the enemy would love for you to just be like, oh, your emotions are valid. And while I'm not saying it's not okay to get frustrated sometimes, but how you manage your emotions and frustration does matter. You don't always have to yell. You don't always have to speak it out over your children and let them know that they are making you feel that way. If you have to walk away, again, just walk away. Go into prayer, cast down every thought, and put it under the submission of Christ. For your children are blessings. Your children are watching you, and they definitely see those shifts. Do not let the enemy use you to get to your children. And a lot of us are blind to that, and I was blind to it. I didn't realize that that's what was happening. And so now that I am aware of it, I will do everything. And I'm talking about, I'm been so careful, and I found so much peace in it too, as well, of just surrendering it to God and just asking Him to teach me how to parent. I'm learning from the best father, you feel me? So let's just make sure that we are speaking life over our kids. If you have help, I know from experience that I didn't have help as much, and I didn't really have a village to rely on. So I know, and I definitely understand, but baby, God is an awesome God. And while it may not be convenient for you to go into prayer every time, it's not going to be convenient when your child grows up and despises you and resents you. It's not going to be convenient when you don't have a relationship with your child anymore. It's not going to be convenient when you look up and it takes you realizing that you've seen your child as a burden all their life. The damage is already done. It's not going to be convenient when the damage is done. So stay armored up. Pray over your children, because it is a war out there. And just be mindful, y'all. And this is for dads too, not just mothers, just parents. I should just say this for parents, a message for parents, because we can all fall victim to this, because it gets crazy out here. But stay prayed up. Love it.